My name is Rehmke, and I direct a program called Economic Thinking, where I do workshops for high school students, homeschool students, and college students. And I tend to focus on speech and debate topics, teaching economics that are tied into each year's national high school and homeschool debate topics. But I've been working in this for a number of years with different organizations, and in April, I was invited to be on a panel at APEE, the Association for Private Enterprise Education, titled Communicating the Ideas of Liberty to Young People. Catherine Shelton organized the panel and invited me, and I enjoyed taking part. I gave a short, maybe 15-minute overview of the programs I do and the way I'm trying to communicate ideas to young people, and then other speakers discuss their ideas, their organizations as well. So just a little background. In 2003, I left the Foundation for Economic Education, came back to Seattle, which is my hometown, and started an organization called Economic Thinking. Economic Thinking became a program of E Pluribus Unum Films, an existing nonprofit that Conrad Denke had organized, and we started Economic Thinking as a program of that. The focus is to reach young people, to teach market ideas and the benefits of a free society. And my focus for years, for decades, has been to work with speech and debate students who each year have a topic that they're focused on, that they, through their competition in speech and debate, they're trying to figure out how to win debates, how to build cases, how to counter the arguments of the other side. And those topics are on a particular public policy topic. So I chose the name Economic Thinking from Paul Haynes' textbook, The Economic Way of Thinking. Paul Haynes, pictured here, was a professor at the University of Washington. He was a longtime friend of mine and my professor there, and that's how I chose the name. His textbook is still popular, now authored by Pete Boettke and other authors. And so I've been trying to promote this economic way of thinking to students that are studying public policy issues. So we have a website, economicthinking.org, various blogs, do study guides, and a whole series of seminars around the country each year. Now, the program sort of starts many years ago with Bettina Graves. This is Bettina and Percy Graves here, pictured with Ludwig von Mises and his wife Margaret years ago. Bettina at FEE in the 50s, in 60s, started sending materials out each year to students that were writing FEE about the national debate topic. So people would send letters to FEE, can you let us know if you have any information on, space exploration or immigration reform or national health care. Each year there's a single national topic, and FEE developed a program of each year sending out hundreds of sets of materials that were sort of the free market side of the topic, from the Freeman, from Reason magazine, from other free market sources. I came in the 1980s to work on that program with FEE, and then came back in the late 90s to expand programs, and have done work with different organizations on that same topic. Again, you're reaching bright students. For example, a couple years ago, the national high school topic was promoting space exploration. So we did a study guide, The Economics of Space Exploration, looked at the history of technology and the role of government and the private sector and entrepreneurship. We have study guides, web pages, and we have online videos sort of telling the story of exploration and actually contests as a way of promoting running into space. Also, there's a series of great movies on technology in both aerospace and aeronautics. And so these are some of the movies here that we recommended to students on that topic. Space exploration was considered as a high school, a homeschool debate topic as well last year, but it wasn't selected. So each year, different debate topics, we prepare materials on the topic. This year, the current year, school year in 2013-14, the national high school debate topic is on economic engagement with Cuba, Mexico, or Venezuela. That is, the resolution calls for the federal government to do more to economically engage. And students are required to research that topic, find ideas for more trade, more investment, better migration, fixing immigration problems. And then the other side is looking for arguments against that, arguments why whatever the affirmative proposes, probably a bad idea is not going to work. So it's an opportunity for students to look at different sides of a public policy issue. Now, the argument we make is without an understanding of economics, whether it's space exploration, immigration reform, healthcare reform, you're not going to have a good idea of how to fix the problem. So that's really our selling point in promoting this. This is our 8-page study guide on the topic done for the Mackinac Center debate workshops and also distributed in other venues in Kansas and Texas and online. I'm also the author with Craig Hovey of The Complete Idiot's Guide to Global Economics. So just as an example, when we're promoting or trying to explain economics to students debating economic engagement, an obvious place to start is the Index of Economic Freedom. This is an index that looks at economic freedom around the world. That is 10 measures of public policy that enhances economic freedom, like the inflation rate, for example, or that is the soundness of the currency, or trade policy, or tax policy. Those measures that you can see the academic studies on freetheworld.com, and we also show a video of this, basically you find out that wherever there's more economic freedom, people are more prosperous. They live longer, child mortality rates are lower, child labor rates are lower. So if you were going to wanted people to be better off in Cuba, Mexico, or Venezuela, you'd want to promote policies that allowed for more economic freedom. Now, how to do that is complicated, but for debaters, it's worth knowing that, looking at any resolution, is this going to increase economic freedom or reduce it? Are we improving trade, investment, migration with this country, or decreasing it? So, this last year, I had an opportunity to give a presentation at the University of Houston to students in the Houston Urban Debate League. There are some 30 schools that were participating. A couple hundred students came, and we were able to promote the study guide. Urban debate is one of the ways, one of the growing areas of high school debate in New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Detroit, Houston, Dallas, Los Angeles. There are urban debate programs that involve a lot of kids at some of the underperforming schools or inner city schools, where students have a chance to participate in debate, develop their research skills and speaking skills. And that's great, although what I want to do is make sure these students also have access to economic analysis, economic principles, sort of a quick introduction course to economics that they can apply as they research the debate topic. We also had Ariel John of Beloit College speak at the Mackinac Center programs and do a study guide. Ariel is from Trinidad and was able to talk about Caribbean and Venezuela and the role of economic freedom in those countries and the restrictions on economic freedom in the U.S. that make it harder for students, for young people in those countries to take advantage of America's economic engine. I also had a chance this last year to speak at the Kansas State Fair, and it's worth mentioning in terms of strategy, that is reaching young people with the ideas of liberty. Our program isn't sort of trying to find libertarians and give programs to them. Instead, it's trying to locate young people interested in ideas, that have their own interest in researching public policy, that maybe don't like to see poverty in Cuba or Venezuela, Mexico, or just because they're in debate, they know they have to research topics that have to do with those countries. And so my goal is to reach those students and say, hey, if you're interested in winning in debate, economics helps. If you're interested in helping people in Cuba, Venezuela, or Mexico, understanding economics helps dramatically, and here are the issues involved. So each year at the Kansas State Fair, they have the demonstration debate. Some 600 students come from all around area Kansas schools. They visit the Kansas State Fair, but they also sit in and watch a series of demonstration debates. So there are 3 separate debates that are sort of shortened to fit into 55 minutes. And after each one, I give an economic analysis of that debate, trying to sort of steer people or recommend to students the economic issues involved. So these are 3 cases that students presented in their debate, and I sort of argued why reasons why economic freedom would help in those cases. and more of that's online. So each year we do economic thinking workshops in addition to public school debate that has been ongoing in the U.S. for 50 years. Over the last 10 years, there's been a surge of homeschool debate. So there's two major homeschool debate leagues, NCFCA and Stoa, and each year these leagues choose their own national topic, which is different from the public school topic. This year, the Stoa League, which is particularly strong in California and Colorado, but also has teams in Missouri, Texas, and other places, they had a topic on marine natural resources. Resolve the federal government should significantly reform its marine natural resource policies. So I did a series of workshops on this, promoting books and materials. This is a flyer from a seminar we did in Dallas, in the Dallas area. Catherine Shelton and Sterling Burnett were our guest speakers. And we were, again, introducing basic economics and showing how these economic principles apply to a whole range of reforms that could or should take place with America's marine natural resource policies. For NCFCA, their topic calls for federal election law reform, and also they have a Lincoln Douglas topic on national security and freedom of the press. This is a flyer from a workshop we did in the Boston area, and again we're recommending books to students. We're recommending sort of the economics, and in this case election law. We look at public choice theory and the way economists look at government and how government actually operates, sort of Buchanan's constitutional economics. So in some of the books we look at the fallacy of campaign finance reform. That's John Sample's book. The Myth of Rational Voters, Democracy and Political Ignorance, Who's Counting. These are all books that give students sort of a background, historical and political economy background on the federal election law topic. So we did workshops around the country. We also have blogs on these topics with articles posted. So, little background on speech and debate. For homeschoolers, HSLDA, the Homeschool Legal Defense Fund, started a debate league. Michael Ferris at HSLDA, I think had been a debater, decided that homeschoolers should have a more formal speech and debate league. I first learned about it in the 1999-2000 debate year when they had a topic calling for repealing and replacing the income tax. So I thought that, this is an organization I want to get to know. These are homeschoolers that aren't so pleased with government schools and are skeptical of government in a lot of ways. And so I thought this would be a way to reach an additional audience with economics, showing how the economics could help with their topic. So HSLDA started debate. Later, the National Debate League started their own league, NCFCA, the National Christian Forensics and Communication Association. And so they've been running high school debate for a long time. And 3 or 4 years ago, Stoa broke off of NCFCA. It was sort of the California and Colorado schools. And so they have their own league and their own topic. There's also Christian Communicators of America and a couple other leagues that are in speech and debate as well. So that's that. And I should mention too, maybe going back here, Christian homeschooling is expanding. There's students in speech and debate. There's a lot of classical schools that are small but growing Christian classical schools, and Classical Conversations, a company that is sort of in between homeschooling and private schools. And each of these are in the sort of the classical schooling tradition, and they're inspired by Dorothy Sayers' book, The Lost Tools of Learning, where the discussion of the Trivium as a model for teaching, that basically say, look, this is how people have been taught for 1,000 years in Western civilization, that you start out with kids with grammar. That is, little kids memorize stuff. They like to memorize things. They're good at it. So they learn, rivers and mountains and countries, and they learn history. They learn language skills, mathematics, but a lot when they're young, they're memorizing things. You're not asking them how they feel about stuff or, what it would be like to be unwrapped as a Christmas present under the tree that a friend of my son was given in school as an essay question. Instead, they're memorizing. Then logic comes next. As the students get older, they begin to learn logic and how things fit together. And then as they come to middle school, high school, they move into rhetoric, the third level of the Trivium. And that push into rhetoric is what draws homeschool students, classical school students, and classical conversations into teaching speech and debate skills and to debate competition. Excuse me. So a lot of parents want their students to participate in debate, and this is where they're actively engaging with the ideas. They're not just learning stuff in a book and spitting it back at the teacher. They're looking at, American history and debating policies. They're looking at public policy issues and asking, well, should we do this? Should we do that? What should U.S. foreign policy be? What should U.S. immigration policy be? And so they're trying to be more active in looking at the role of government in a free society, for example, and what policies are best. And that fits very nicely with what I do in my work for speech and debate. So I've been very involved with homeschooling over the last 10 years. And to give you a sense of how speech and debate is growing as one part of homeschooling, here's the Stoa Speech and Debate League. And this is from just the Stoa, California. And they have on their site a listing of their clubs. There's 50 separate homeschool speech and debate clubs just in California. And these are all groups of, families, parents, and students, anywhere from 15 kids to 50 to 80 kids, students that are participating in speech and debate. There's various different events, speech events and debate events, Lincoln Douglas debate. So generally these students gather once a week for 2 or 3 hours. They practice their speech skills, they learn about the topic, they prepare for the upcoming debate tournament. In addition, they travel to debate tournaments during the school year. This coming weekend, there's a big debate tournament in Modesto, or next week there's a big debate tournament in Modesto, and I expect to be there with a book table promoting economics. But just gives you a sense of, in terms of reaching young people with the ideas of liberty, which is the purpose of this, the statement of this panel, what economic thinking does is provide analytical tools that help students that have their own incentives, their own motives. It's like stepping on an already moving train. The momentum is there. The parents are doing a huge amount of work in organizing these debate tournaments, sometimes have 1,000, 2,000 people involved when you count the students, the parents, the community judges, and the coaches, people providing the meals, people organizing the facility. These are major events, and the kids, are excited about attending. There's a fun time, and I'm playing a sort of a small role ahead of the tournaments, holding one-day workshops on the economics of the topic, but trying to take advantage of the momentum, the incentives that are already there on the part of the students to research topics and to do well at debate. Now, ideally, the students would be interested in truth and justice and making the world a better place, and certainly that's true. But they also have a particular interest in winning at the debate. So to some extent, the economics is sort of can be a club that they use to club their opponent or to confuse their opponent but really the positive view of it is we're trying to give them tools that better allow them to understand these debate topics, that give them insights to how society really works, whether they're advancing their arguments in a debate round or standing in front of the legislature advocating a policy reform or opposing someone else's policy reform. Now this is a page on the left here of debate clubs. Many have their own website. So there's the Clash Debate Club, a Powerhouse Debate Club in San Jose, California. Response is a newer debate club in Hayward, California. Control is a speech and debate club in Southern California. We're inspired by Maxwell Smart. You can see the students talking into their shoes here in the image. Touche is a debate club in the Santa Rosa, California region. And so these are all among the 50 clubs. Again, many have their own debate sites, and many other debate clubs around the country do. One of the interesting things about the 4,000 to 5,000 homeschool students that compete in speech and debate every year and have over the last 5 to 10 years, of course it's been growing, is that these students go on to college. So one sort of open question is how many of these homeschool debate students are competing on college debate teams? There's a lot of Christian colleges that have speech and debate clubs that have lots of former homeschool debaters on them, but also these homeschool debaters are going into major state schools, private schools, community college. This is a page from the NPDA, the National Parliamentary Debate Association, that is, you can see the listings of the school, and a lot of the students in these debate clubs are former homeschool students. I just don't know how many, but for organizations that wanted to reach out to college students and see public policy debate and market ideas discussed on college campuses, who better than to address the college, to work with college debaters? They're already researching and debating these issues. Okay. These are a couple pictures from the Stoa Debate League, has a national invitational debate tournament each summer. And this is from the 2012 tournament in Colorado Springs. The topic was tax reform. And I have some pictures of students, group from New Braunfels advocating a flat tax. Another picture of Paul Rose and friends here talking about their summer work. Paul Rose has a summer debate program, rosedebate.com. Down here is my book and display table, and students looking at some of the books, Morality of Capitalism in particular. So here's a picture from all the students gathered. There's some 600 students, I think, competed in the Stoa tournament from around the country. We had similar sort of things there. That is to say, a book table there. Here, you know, and again, and just to give a broader picture of this, here's a page from DFW Speech and Debate. This is Susan Nasser, who runs summer debate camps as a job, as a calling, as a company in the Dallas area. Susan's been a debate coach, and I know she's been in our economic thinking workshops over the years, and her programs seem to be growing year by year. You go on their website, they've got some 28 separate summer speech and debate programs set in the Dallas area and some in Baton Rouge. And I just mention this because all of these things, students are debating speaking skills, research skills, but they're also learning to think analytically, learning to analyze. It's an excellent opportunity to give students an introduction to economics and public policy ideas, and also sort of for Lincoln Douglas debate, some of the classical liberal ideas that go with discussing values. So I'll be giving a economics talk or a mini workshop at one of their economics camps this summer. Also, one of the things I emphasized at the APEE talk is that there's a number of summer speech and debate programs. One of the larger ones is Ethos Publications. Ethos every summer has speech and debate camps, and they also publish source books on the topics. So last year I was a speaker at 2 of the big Ethos debate camps, and this coming summer I'll be speaking at all of the summer debate camps where economic thinking will be involved, to try and give students attending a more in-depth introduction to economics. This is from last summer. I spoke at the Ethos camp in Fairfax, and also a debate camp. I had 4 talks at a debate camp at Patrick Henry on both the Stoa and NCFCA topics. Now, there's more of this online at economicthinking.org and at the Ethos website, but this is a page of sort of the Ethos theory of presenting things, the techniques, the way they teach at their debate camp, the role of classical rhetoric. Again, speech and debate is drawing from the Trivium and the view of the sort of classical background, covering debate theory and speaking techniques, but also, you know, logical fallacies and the components of persuasion and Aristotle's elements of ethos, pathos, and logos. You know, this classical training has been part of Western education for centuries and centuries, but is mostly is not so much discussed in modern schools outside, I would argue, the homeschool and classical school world. Now, economic thinking is the new column they've added to their programs for this summer, and that's my organization, Economic Thinking, playing a larger role both in training the Ethos staff, which are mostly college students and former debaters, and also providing guest speakers at their summer debate camps on the economics of the chosen topics. We don't know the topics yet. They'll be chosen for Stoa in the next month or 2, and they'll be announced for NCFCA in June. And so when those topics are announced, then we'll prepare research materials for it. This other page here is sort of a grant proposal with a discussion of how Isaiah McPeak of Ethos was first influenced by attending one of our economic thinking or fee workshops where Dan Griswold and Doug Bandow were speaking to debaters on the economics of that year's topic. And Isaiah mentions in his essay that, you know, that introduction to economics influenced his thinking about that topic. He developed cases based on economics. And then through his high school and college careers in debate, he was essentially advocating market reforms and economic freedom as part of his affirmative cases and in attacking problems with other people's cases. So the idea is you reach young people with economic ideas, particularly debaters. They take those ideas, they make them their own, they work with them, they integrate them with their speech and debate research and proposals, and then pass those ideas on to others. So Ethos this summer, you can see the camps they've got in 2004 in Tampa, Patrick Henry, South Carolina, St. Louis, and Delaware. They've also got training camps at nationals, and this is from their website, and we're working to expand that. And again, all these students should get an introduction to economics. They should understand different schools of economic thought. They should understand how economic theory applies to their various speech and debate resolutions. So that's a little bit about economic thinking. We've been in business a little over 10 years now. Had some 250 workshops for high school speech and debate students. Some 20,000 students have attended our programs, our one-day workshops, as well as the larger sessions for the Kansas State Fair. And this picture here with all these people is a program that was co-sponsored by APEE and Institute for Principal Studies in Livermore, California, where we had some 200 people attend for a one-day program. So thank you for your attention, and I look forward to providing more information about these programs. Thank you. Oops, it looks like I'm not finished. A little bit more, we've got blog sites, Astounding Ideas, Marine Resources. We've got some 70 posts on the marine and natural resources topic. We've got posts on the federal election law topic, and the information on the public school materials as well. Okay, thank you very much.